I don't even know. So, okay, continue.
Hello, everyone in Wilmot and across the globe. I think that we probably have one or two listeners out there somewhere that have managed to find us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, another super exciting episode of the New Hamburg Board of Trade podcast. I'm joined by Gina. Hey, Gina.
Good morning.
And we've got our guest today is Jenn Sutherland of Heritage Pet and Garden, and their business is located on Huron Street in New Hamburg. Morning, Jennifer.
Good morning. You can call me Jen.
Jen, right?
We're informal around here, right?
Yeah.
Thanks
so
for joining
much.
us this morning, Jen. Sorry, Richard, cut you off there.
Oh well, I was just sort of saying the same thing. So jinx by me. That would be a pretty lame podcast if we did a jinx on one of the hosts.
Well, I don't know how to get you your Coke or whatever I have to get you.
Yeah.
Or I have to stay silent. Yeah, that might be the worst treatment, right? For you on
Exactly.
a podcast.
Yeah, that would suck for me because you're great.
Anyway, we're digressing here, but welcome to Jen in the end.
Yeah.
So I guess we can maybe jump right into it. So I know we've already introduced Jen as the owner of the Heritage Pet and Garden Store in New Hamburg on Huron Street. So Jen, how long have you owned Heritage Pet, and how did you come to purchase the business?
We found out about it being for sale. It would have been December 2018, actually. And originally the listing was everything combined, like the building and the business, but we weren't sure about the building. So we went in with the business alone. And I did work with the former owners for a few months together. And so we officially stepped in February of 2019 there. And then Marilyn came on probably till later. That's the former owner. She stuck with me till like maybe around August. And then it was perfect timing. And then she was busy with her grandkids and life and stuff. So yeah, it was good.
Sort of an easy phase in and phase out for everybody involved, eh?
Yeah.
That's nice. You get to, introduce yourself with the old owner still there, who everyone's of course very familiar with, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a very easy transition at that point.
Yeah, and I think I should say too that Dave has passed away since, and
yes.
Everybody in town would know Dave higher and everything, and that was a sad time too. And but I mean, they persevered, and so there's been a lot of changes going on. So
yeah, well, it's a really fun store to go in. There's always lots of socializing, I'd say, for any pets that are fortunate enough to head on in there. So
yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Lots of people come in too that don't have pet, like parents and little guys, especially now that they're allowed to. Because we have pets in store that we will not sell. They're guinea pigs and a rabbit, and we have an in-store cat. She was a feral cat that you can see the mill behind you. She lived there, and we a year ago just made friends with her, and now she's been neutered or spayed. Sorry, spayed. She's an in-store cat, so cool.
That's pretty special.
Yeah, she's a black cat. Her name's Emmy because she has like really green eyes, and people love her. She's in the window, and she's super. It's phenomenal to see her go from feral to tame and so friendly. So that's fun.
That is really fun.
Animals are just kind at heart,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, what do you like most about operating a business in New Hamburg?
Well, I'd say the small town, the loyalty aspect is massive right now. We have a great foundation there, and it's just fun that people. I'm going to rotate down to like the other, because we do have a second store out on Fisher Hallman, and
Right.
it's actually part of a farm, and it's really weird because it's technically in the country, but it's really a lot of city people that come in there. And we have a dog park attached to that one, a private dog park. And so, but the reality is the time you spend in the stores, like in retail, that's the difference between buying online. You get to know people and you get to help them through a lot of different things, because you're seeing them really consistently and regularly, and you just get involved in their life. And I don't know if that happens in the bigger stores and all that. That is the bonus of being in a small town and a independent store.
Very true. Very, very
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
So I know, is your store that's on Fisher Hallman, is it very similar to the store that you have in New Hamburg, or is it a bit different?
It's different. It's really strange to me. I got a tickle. There's probably enough pet hair in my house that I'm always going to have a tickle, but my mom's here and she's like,
Joking.
cat hair, dog hair, welcome,
Right.
welcome to staying over. Yeah, the fun part about the Air store, because it's got the dog park, we still have all the other pet stuff, but when we took over, it was heavy to dog, obviously. And the dog and raw. So in New Hamburg, they didn't really get into raw, and I stepped in and I didn't feed raw to my guys. So I just kind of didn't really do much with that. And then boom, into the Air store. It says Air, but it really is just South Kitchener.
Yeah.
It's really Roseville. And
Oh, okay.
I was shocked. Like like a lot, like just learned so much about the raw part of things. So that's a really big, we still have raw in New Hamburg, but it's not even close to what we have in, like, there's 9 freezers in
Oh
Air.
my.
Yeah. And then just that whole aspect of coming from multiple communities, like Air is like, you could have someone from Cambridge, someone from Waterloo, someone from, like, we still have people come from New Hamburg, like, all come there. And the one thing that happened is when we basically did it on a handshake, like March, COVID hit March, they sold the property through auction. It was the last auction of the whole thing. And the family, the transition to new ownership wasn't going to happen till May. So we basically just shook hands, rolled it out, did an inventory. It was kind of crazy. And
that was all during like the first wave of COVID?
Yeah. And
wow.
Then the second family that bought it, they're dairy farmers. And so there was a little bit of a kerfluffle about the original people got it approved through being a farm store. So we're like, what do we have? Like, what are we going to? And so anyhow, we're buds with the other guys, and we have their beef and then we do some pork, and we do fresh eggs. And so I call those guys the dairy duo, the boys that come in and so it was stressful at the time, but it's awesome. And they're great people.
Yeah.
And again, it's just relationship again. It's awesome.
So I don't know, can you tell us more about the raw food diet? Because there's so many new pet owners. I think we all understand that that pet sales went nuts in the last 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
And, are there any tips that you have, or what's the benefit of a raw food diet? Because it's something that I never really considered, but I think is becoming more, let's say, trendy.
Yeah. And depending on who you talk to, it's A to Z.
Right.
What
like
I mean?
anything, right? It's
like anything.
Yeah.
It's like a hot button.
Yeah.
Well, for the one thing I think across the board, especially having the dog park, it's discipline. I know I'll answer about the raw, but that's where I see people, you have to, we love our pets, but it's similar to having children. you need to have the discipline. They need to obey you. They need to, and if you ever walk down my street, mine are the nuts in the window. Like, everybody knows my house. They're barkers and stuff like that, but you have to, when it push comes to shove, literally, you have to have control of your dog. And that is not going to, it's not going to come. And I would say the bigger the dog, obviously, the more you have to be aware of what you're getting into and have control of your dog. And the raw thing, it definitely deals with allergies 100%. Dogs love it. Like it's awesome flavor and stuff, right? Like
Oh,
my guy,
I can't believe they would love, chewing on, raw
yeah.
duck or whatever, right? Yeah, sounds good to me too.
Well, and that's the thing. I actually feed my guys kibble, but a good and they both feed different things. Honey has an allergy to lamb, so
Mm.
but I as an owner, I'm not going to tell people. Like I find that's the biggest change in retail. A lot of people, they're way more educated before they even arrive at the door. It's like back in the day, I sold cars, right? And that was just when the internet was coming out. That's the early 90s, and it's all transitioned. Like you have people that they've researched and they know what they want when they come.
Yep.
And so you just navigate with them. But I think there's really high quality kibble too. And I think that people have to think about the dog and their house and teeth. Like you kind of have to realize your dog needs that, you don't want a lot of dental, right? So especially if your dog's not a bone chewer and all this stuff. So there's many factors to making that decision, but a lot of people decide the dogs love it. Like, I mean, Honey, the other couple days ago, sad, we had a rabbit pass away in our backyard, and I looked out the window and I'm like, I said, Todd, you didn't put it in the green bin? So the Honey's like, walking around with this dead rabbit in her mouth, and
Ooh.
yeah, totally wanted to come in the house. I'm like, no, obviously. And then it's bad, but they love it. You know what I mean? Like it's a rare dog that doesn't love raw. So, but it is expensive. It's expensive. So there's different levels of it too. But and you have to be very careful that you're giving them a balanced diet too.
Yeah, right. You can't
Right.
just give them all.
Yeah,
one
they
thing, right?
recommend that in order to have a complete diet, you need to rotate through 5 proteins a month.
Okay.
Is the
Oh,
one thing. And one of the most complete proteins is duck. So we do have a couple clients that are just on duck, and that's because that's the only thing the dog can eat. And but
wow.
they're very good at adding like the extras that the dog needs to have a balanced diet. So
Yeah.
Interesting.
No,
So I guess,
discipline is huge, especially as you say with the dog parks. Who doesn't love taking their dog to the dog park, right? You can do 15 minutes at the dog park or an hour and a half walk, and your dog is, pancaked to the ground. But
yeah,
that's so fun. I can't imagine working outside of a dog park. I don't know how you'd ever get anything done.
it's pretty exciting. They're like not everybody gets along with everybody. So
Yeah.
there's two sides. There's an A and a B there. So sometimes the better choice for the dog is that you go to B and maybe do a reset and but everybody, and you get to know each other out there too. It's like a little community.
Yeah.
Right. So and everybody, again, everybody's opinion on dog behavior is very different. Aggression and everything, like it you just have to figure it out with each other. What one person deems aggressive, someone else doesn't think that.
Right.
So it's
Yeah. There's an A and B side at the New Hamburg dog park too, down by Scott Park. You definitely know who the dogs are, but as far as who the owners are, I couldn't really tell you.
Yeah, that's it.
And I don't expect them to remember me either. It's just how it goes.
And that's the funny thing. When I sold cars, I know what you drove, and I might not know your name. And it's the same thing with this. I know your dog, but I might not know your name.
Who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess, sorry, cut you off.
Go for it, Gina.
I was going to say, I know it's kind of along the same line. We've been talking about, the raw diet in dogs. Do you have any tips for new pet owners? I know this time of year, sometimes people get pets for Christmas. Any tips that you have?
I would just say the discipline thing. I would say that if you're disciplined and consistent at the beginning, you'll have long-term gains. And that means that, like, for instance, with us, when we first got our dog, we had to have a trainer come to us because our kids were older at the time and everybody had a different opinion. So I don't think I think I would encourage people to do that. I would encourage people to take a puppy class and talk to other dog owners, but then filter it through their own life and their own, like some dogs, people work outside the home and they have to be crated. Well, if you have to crate your dog for a long time in the day, then you really need to make up for it with a walk, exercise, like, and that. So you have to be aware of your life, really. And that would be the other side, I would say. Are you ready for a new pet? That I have witnessed that in the last year and a half with people. Obviously, people have got them, and we work really closely with a rescue called Pound Dog that's in Drumbo, and they're very professional. If you go on their site and read their descriptions, like, it's really well done, and that's who we align with, because you just have to, I wouldn't want to be involved with some fly by night, you know what I mean? That's not committed. These guys they were in it before it was trendy. So they've seen the returns. Like the dogs coming back and then not socialized, and the lack of discipline. Like, I mean, I personally, and maybe someone will agree with me on this one, but I have to pin my one dog. I can see it escalating. It's like he just needs it, right? And then you make sure he knows who's boss again, and then we're good again for a while. But then it has to happen, and that's how he's wired. And for me personally, I'm not going to judge someone on how they know the dog, right? And they just but I think that people tend to be on the lenient side. And it will have consequences eventually. It will. Like, you have to be in control. So
there's definitely a dominance factor, and the dog is going to, especially when they're young, I think, going to try and push as far as they can. And you've got to recommend, or not recommend, but you've got to let them know again, I'm the alpha. And definitely,
dogs are pack animals. You can see that. You could have 30 dogs out in the park, and one goes in, and it changes the whole dynamic.
Yeah.
And that's, again, people have to recognize that, right? Like, you have to be beside your dog, and you need to be in control of your dog wherever you are. And my honey on a leash is awesome, but then we'll run into a couple dogs, and it's like she's gonna take them out. And you just, you have to be confident, and you have to be in control. And depending on what's coming down the street, it could look a little different for everyone. So,
well, it's very hard to play with a leash on as well.
Yeah. And that's the thing that people don't realize. A leash is the control. So I've actually had to call out a couple people at the dog park. They're in there and they're leashed, and I'm like, hello, why do you have the leash on there? Oh, we're leaving. I'm like, no, you need to get the leash on in the transition area, not in the park.
Okay. I'm definitely guilty of that.
Yeah, but again, it's okay when you're by yourself or there's only one or two dogs.
Right.
But if there's more, then that isn't a good, that's not a good choice.
Okay. Just take them out, with a call,
and get that recall that they come to you, right? When you want them to. And also too, we're not allowed treats in the dog park. And I know people bring them in because that's how they've trained them to come to them.
Right.
So it just takes a lot of work, really. It is a lot of work.
No, it's a huge responsibility
to train a dog.
And there's no way on earth I'm saying mine is. Like, my two are wildly crazy some days. And one's a rescue and one's not, but I think the one that was with us from the puppy stage is the most crazy. What do you do?
Yeah.
So
yeah. See, as I've always had cats, so it's very different, right? Like, there's no training cats, there's no disciplining cats. Cats are just their
own way. But
their own way.
Tina, my cat, she lines up with the dogs in the morning for treats.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, Molly's hilarious. And she was the original cat at the store in New Hamburg. But then when COVID hit the first time, just the change in hours, and she started to claw the bags. So we had to bring her home. But now we're really happy we have Emmy.
Yeah.
Yes, that's very sweet.
Yeah.
I think it's a nice little transition for people when they come in the store to see the friendly faces of the pets and everything like that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's a pet store, right?
Yeah.
And I am definitely a rehomer person. I actually had an opportunity to buy a full like aviary for like
Oh,
birds, like conures and Quaker parrots. But when I got right down to it, they were breeders. And I thought, you know what? As much as you actually don't want exotic birds taken out of the wild, I was like, you know what? My philosophy since I've been little actually has been I'm a rehomer and a rescuer. Like my mom would tell you that I would bring pets home like little and or founding. Like I remember this. There was a German Shepherd one time, and I grew up in Chesley, and the police officer came by and he adopted him. His name was Zeke. They renamed him. Nobody ever came, so they lived with them for like and so that's why I had to decline the aviary because I just I don't know. I just couldn't do that. So I love, and then my guys too, like I've got 2 female guinea pigs at the store, but they're bonded. So I just know that we're going to have them because we rehomed a couple guys, male guinea pigs, but these girls need to stay together. And that's a big commitment. 2 guinea pigs for, a lot of cleaning, a lot of wood chips.
Mhm.
yeah. You'd think that maybe smaller animals aren't as big of a commitment, but I know that, bunnies have a very specific dietary needs and, maybe they're good starter pets.
Well, I think you kind of do want, I love little hamsters, but they're fragile. Like a lot of people will tell you that they may be like a little 2-year-old,
Yes. Yeah.
I would say guineas. I love guinea pigs. I've always loved guinea pigs. I find they're easy to care for. They're really social. Like when in the mornings, our guys get lettuce, and in the evenings, and as soon as it's that time, they pig. I call it the pigging. Like they're making their sound. If you open the fridge, like they're super, they're smart too. And then we have a lionhead rabbit too. Rabbits are lovely. I love rabbits too. I used to have a free range rabbit at the house here named Penny. But again, you just have to know what you're getting into. They are known to chew wires.
Yep.
But again, it's that whole thing where it's the discipline factor, like a little bit of free play and stuff. And then, make sure you have the boundaries up to make it successful. Same with the dog and all of them, really. We have I just got a new parakeet. I'm calling him Wayne. He's hilarious. He's so cute, but I got him off Kijiji and he's a rehomer, right? And he's super sweet. And I'm going to go visit him again today, but he's settling in. And Wayne looks like he's really, really lovely, but we really won't know if Wayne is lovely, probably for a week or 2. And then we really will, like, it's going to take him that long to get settled. And I actually can't tell if he can fly right now because he's just getting used to us, right? And he's been in a really smaller cage, and we have an enclosure at the store. It's a fair size. Right now, he's just hanging on the sides and kind of fluttering around. And I'm like, holy crow, maybe Wayne doesn't know how to fly. It's possible. So,
Is
So
that
is
at
that
the
at
air
the
store?
new? Oh,
yeah, that's in New Hamburg.
yeah.
All right, I'm
So
going
we can
over
come
to
and
see
visit.
Wayne.
Yeah.
You can come
we
and
can
visit
Wayne.
Yeah, I saw his picture and I'm like, you're a Wayne, not a Wasabi. His original name was Wasabi, but I just think he's Wayne.
Yeah, it's definitely fun naming pets.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at the time of this recording, it's December 22nd. Are you seeing any particular toys or dog items that are especially popular this year? Not necessarily just dogs, of course, but cat toys, little guinea pig toys, anything like that?
I think the trend now is, and we're seeing it, is activity toys. Like what puzzles, like what can I use to occupy? And that actually goes along with a lot of people looking for calming stuff. But I just want to say that calming will not replace exercise.
Right.
And not everybody likes when I mention that, but it's true. I witness it with my guys. Tucker is absolutely crazy when people are in our pool, and we have medicine from the vet for him because it's a level of anxiety. That is not the same as not being like the energy that would be expelled. Like you said, Richard, if you're at the dog park for 15 minutes with your buds, you're zonked, or a good walk. Like, so I think those are the two big things right now, Pet, the puzzles and the, how can I occupy them for, whatever time, and the calming. And the other thing is too, even if you're giving your dog, or anybody a bone or any kind of something new, sorry, excuse me, you need to make sure you have enough time to observe them. You don't want to give them stuff that is like that they'll choke on, or like, I mean, my guys are big guys and they can munch through things, and I kind of use them as a measure. But any like bones or anything could have like a little bit of a flaw. And then of course your dog just hits it the right way and it does crack. You do need to watch it. And I know for me too, like when I get home at night, I want to be by myself because they're all over me. And it's like, but you really just keep that in your mind. You want to be sure that when they're trying new things or you're giving them stuff that you are around to watch them.
That's a good point. Do you carry some of these items that you're talking about at your store?
Yeah.
Like, would we be able to pop by?
Oh yeah, there's the other fun thing that we've been doing, and I know other people have done this probably for a long time, but I was chatting with someone, is because my guys are, they're really good on the bones and chews, but Kongs.
Yeah.
So Kongs can be filled with leftovers. Like I bought yogurt for my Ben, and he's my son, and he didn't like it. So I filled the Kong with that. And then for instance, that night we had leftover peas. So I put the peas in it and then I just topped it with a little bit of wet and freeze it. So that's a pretty safe like thing, because you can get a little bit of time on that, because by the time they get past the frozen part, get into it, lick it and everything, it's a pretty good length of time. So I like that. But yeah, I have all kinds of bones. And the fun part is right now it's called Artesian Farms, and it actually is all Ontario beef. So all the marrow bones, like the little 1 inchers, and the bigger guys, 3 and 7s, and the rib bones, and we've got beef lung in bulk. That's an awesome price because it's not in the fancy package, and it's a great lean protein, really good for training actually, because it's highly motivating because of how much I love it. And that's all Ontario, and that is good because a lot of them come in from other countries, and it's just nice that it's
what's in it.
Yeah, and it's Ontario.
Yeah, I will admit that I do get kind of sketched out when I am looking at, something and it's from, Brazil or some other country where you're not sure what their level of
quality control
safety is. Yeah. So
well, and the fact it has to come so far too.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
My ideal is Ontario, then it's Canadian, and then it's past. And the fact, like some things I can't find it in Canada. And but it's like I totally try. And I also try to bring in like we have there are a couple Piper's pillows, and they're from Waterloo, and they have full-time jobs, but they make pet beds and tugs out of the remaining fabric and blankets and stuff, and they're awesome. And so I try to do that too as much as I can.
So definitely worth a trip out to see what kind of Ontario and local produce and products you have.
Yes, it is.
Both in Ayr and New Hamburg.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Again, it's almost Christmas time. What's on the Christmas table for you guys? What's your favorite holiday meal?
My favorite holiday meal, I would say we have a lot of traditions wrapped around food, actually, on all sides of the fam. So on Friday, I was at my aunt's actually, and we had prime rib, and she makes phenomenal Yule log. So as far as desserts go, Yule log's up there. I love Yule log.
Yeah.
And then I do like it. I love gravy, basically. So turkey gravy, chicken gravy, beef gravy, mashed potatoes. Yeah.
So anything you can smother in gravy, you're all on board for?
Yeah.
Put it on everything.
We're going to the Puttycomb tonight. We're going down for our Christmas, staff Christmas dinner tonight. So I'm excited to see what's on their menu.
I'm sure that'll be good too. Yeah.
Yeah, Todd and I and the three staff. So we're going down. So it's fun. Someone else cook.
That's
Hey,
always a
Oh,
plus.
eggs Benedict. Our favorite. I also love eggs Benedict for breakfast. So that's all covered: dessert, main, and breakfast.
there you go.
Fabulous. Fabulous.
Yeah.
And I guess just to close out, we always do this at the end of our podcast. What's your favorite thing to do in your spare time?
I read. I have a Kindle, the unlimited Kindle on my phone. But I also I'll go for a long time and not read a paper book, and then I will read that. And then I also do a lot of drinking coffee and chatting with people. I love to visit and chat. And the pets too. Like I'll just, hang out with pets and that. And then because of the pets at the store too. And I like baking shows. I have
Who
all the baking
doesn't?
shows PVR. Like I just watched the end of the baking, see who won last night. I think it was recorded on Monday though. And
Is that the Great Canadian one?
no, I think this was with Jesse Palmer. He's the host.
Okay.
Christmas holiday bake or something.
Oh, that would be fun.
But there's so many of them, like
Sure.
holiday gingerbread showdown, Christmas cookie, but I veg out to that stuff for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I know this will be a good time of year for all the baking shows. So hopefully you get a chance away from the store a little bit to enjoy a bit more of those baking shows for yourself.
Yeah. I will make cinnamon buns. That's what I love making cinnamon buns and that. So, and yeah, it's weird. We're going to be closed for 2 days in a row, which is kind of cool. So,
Excellent. So what days are those?
Saturday and Sunday, because we're always closed on
Christmas.
Sunday. So we're going to close. I think the girls, they asked, I think if they could close on the eves at 4, and I was like, sure. So
Yeah.
we're going to be Christmas Eve at 4 and New Year's Eve at 4. And then I pretty much think the rest of the hours, other than the day, like New Year's Day and Christmas Day, are the same.
Yeah. Excellent. Good to know.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm going over to see Wayne right now, and maybe teach him how to fly.
There you go. You can
Excellent.
go in his enclosure and like talk really nice to him, be buds, and
Yeah.
See if that
Awesome.
helps.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Jen, to discuss a little bit more about your store and all your pets. It's been great learning more about the raw diet and the importance of discipline. And I think Richard picked up some tips for the dog part when he goes the next time.
I did. Yes. Thank you, Jen. Come see
Maybe-
her on Huron Street in New Hamburg. And what's the air location again?
It's 2517 Fisher Hallman Road. So it's just a little bit down from New Dundee Road and Fisher Hallman.
Perfect.
Towards
Fabulous.
Roseville.
And online at heritagepet.com.
heritagepetandgarden.com, I think. Yes.
heritagepetandgarden.com.
We'll
Yeah.
put it in
Yeah.
the notes.
Right.
I always get mixed up on that. I've been working really hard on the website. So it's constantly. Yeah.
It's tough. The web game is really tough.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Especially for me, I'm not techie, so it takes a while, but I get it done.
There you go. Learning a new skill all the time, right?
Oh yeah.
Super. Well, thanks again, Jennifer, and thanks everyone for listening to our podcast. We really appreciate it.
Awesome.
And we'll catch
guys.
you next
Thank
time.
you.
Thanks.
Okay.